Hello, it's Elisa. So, have you traveled yet? Well, if you haven't traveled yet, don't forget that each of us has the opportunity to use $3,500 to travel for professional development. And I'm going to show you how quick and easy it is to do that. So, the first thing is to decide what conference you want to go to. And here you can see on my screen is a very popular English conference, and I am going to go to this conference. But there are a couple things that I need to collect so that I am ready to submit my travel request. So the first thing I want to do is go over and find the email that our travel rep, Rosie May, sent us all. And you can see here that it tells you pretty much everything that you need. So right now what I want to do is collect the documentation that I'm going to need. And that's this information that she has in her first paragraph. So I'm going to go and get a conference brochure or from the website that includes the date, the location, sponsoring organization. I need something that shows the schedule. I need the registration, conference hotel, my airfare, ground transportation, and internet access. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all of those things and make PDF files. So generally, the first piece of information you need is probably the website. It has the dates, the location, the sponsoring organization, and all I have to do is print that. I'm in Firefox, but sometimes web pages will allow you to quickly print something, and you'll want to make sure that you change your printer to PDF. So here you can say that I'm on a PC, so I'm going to do Microsoft Print to PDF. Yours might not have that option, but you'll have a similar option. And then when I click OK, it will save this document. And so the next thing that I'm going to need is the registration information. So right here on the page, I go to the website. Here's the registration information. And I can either print registration form or I could just print this whole page if I wanted to. So again, I hit print. It brings up this page. And when I hit print, I can print to PDF again. Okay, so I have that. Next, I need hotel. And you want to make sure that you choose a conference hotel. And if the conference hotels are full, like all of these are, because this is a huge conference, and you have to choose a different hotel, make sure that it doesn't go over the highest price that's listed here. So the highest price here was $199. So I actually had to go find a different hotel because these were all full. And the one that I came up with is a Courtyard, and the price was $193. So it fits into the range of the hotel that I need for that. Okay, so let me go back to the website again. So now I need a program. So sometimes if you are well prepared, like I am right now, the program is not even ready. So you can't possibly get the current program. But many websites will allow for you to look at past programs. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up a past convention program. So here you can see there's a list of them. And I'm going to pull up last year's program. And you don't have to print the whole program. And I say that because if I were to print just say the first day of the conference, which is Thursday, that is going to be a total of 100 pages just for one day of the conference. Well, I'm sure no one wants to look at all of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for something that shows maybe a schedule at a glance. So I pull this up and it's only 5 pages, but the last two are the pages that you need. And these are the pages that show you the start and end dates of the conference and times of the conference as well. Okay, so I have all of the information that I need from the website. The other information that I need is transportation and travel. So I'm keeping a little note sheet here to make sure I have everything. So I have to get my flight, hotel, registration, ground transportation, and internet. And I want to write down the amounts that these things are going to cost so that I don't have to go back and check them later. So I have that, my little note sheet, and now I'm going to go and look for a flight. So I always start at Southwest because it's usually the easiest one to go. Okay, so you're basically just getting a quote at this point. So unless you're buying right now, you can buy the cheapest flight if you're buying right now. But if you're just going to get approval first before you buy, don't select the cheapest one because those flights may not be available when you do come back to purchase. So for instance, I would really want this flight, but I'm not going to put that down and then submit it for approval and wait the 2 weeks that it might take before I purchase it. Because what might happen is when I come back, that flight might be done and this is the only one left, and now I have to pay the extra. So pick a flight that is pretty reasonable. I'll pick this one for quotation purposes. And then my return flight, they're all expensive, so let me go ahead and choose this one. And then I'm just going to print this quote out again. So now that I have all of my documents saved. Okay, so I have all of that. The last thing I need is a taxi receipt. So you already see, or a quote. So you see I already have that, and I use Taxi Fare Finder. So I go to Taxi Fare Finder, type in the location, and it will pull up all the different fares for you and give you an estimate of what it would cost to take a taxi. Now, generally, you can find shuttles that are cheaper, but if you do the quote for the taxi, at least you'll know you'll have enough money for it at that point. Okay? And it'll give you a nice quote. So I've gone ahead and put in the amounts that I'm going to be spending. And for internet, my hotel has internet, so I'm not going to put anything. Also, for ground transportation, included with your taxi quote, if you're going to be parking your car on this side of the trip, you want to add that cost in as well. Or if you're doing ground transportation on this side of the trip, you want to add that. So don't forget that. So these are the only costs that I'm going to be claiming on my travel request. So how do we do it now? So let's go back. We're going to go to administration.maricopa.edu, and I'm going to click on Financial Management System. I'm going to log in. I'm going to go to Employee Self-Service, Travel and Expense Center, and then I'm going to create modify travel authorization. Your employee ID pops up. I want to go ahead and add a new value, so I'm going to click add. So now I have a blank authorization. So you want to write in your description. So for this is my CCC annual conference. My business purpose is conference. The location, just type in the first three letters of the city, and then I'm going to pick this one, that's Oregon. Then your dates. Okay, so I have my dates. Now this little box up here is where we're going to type a whole bunch of stuff. So for now, we're just going to leave it blank and we'll add to that later. Let's do the easy part first. So we already have our list of the things that we're going to add. So just as a reminder, these are the things we're going to add, and we're going to add them right here. Oh, before we get to that, you have to do your accounting defaults. If you forget to do this, you always get a red flag, and choose instruction and then say OK. All right, you're good to go there. All right, so now let's do our expense type. Let's start with our hotel or lodging. All right, the date, you just put the date, the start of your trip, which was the 15th. Your payment type is going to be employee reimbursed. So you're going to pay up front and then you're going to be reimbursed. And the billing type is going to be from professional growth faculty. Okay. Now you can't put in the amount. You have to do that through the detail. So click the detail, put in a number of nights that you're going to do, you're going to stay. And the description is just the conference hotel. And then the nightly rate. Now keep in mind that your nightly rate doesn't always include taxes and all the other stuff that the hotels put in there. So you want to make sure that you take the total price for your quote. So I'm going to go back to that here really quick and show you. So the total price for my hotel is $667.58. $667.58. All right, so let's go back to $22.53 for my nightly rate. And then it'll add that up. It's not doing it right now, but when I return, you'll see it. Okay, so here you can see my total for my hotel is there now. So then you just go in and add the other items. So I'm going to add those in, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so I've added in all of the items on my list. And remember, each time you add something in, you have to go into the detail and add in the information, the start information that's required, and then return back. Sometimes it looks like you can add it all on the front page here, but this system doesn't work very well if you ask me. Next, we're going to add in our per diem. So I don't have any more lines left, so I'm going to go ahead and click my plus to enter the number of a line. So it's 3 days, so I'm going to need 3 days for per diem. All right, so I've added my 3 lines, and now I'm going to go in and say per diem. Okay, yeah, so it automatically adds in the total amount for the day based on your location. So it knows I'm in Portland, so it adds in $54. So again, I'm going to add in employee reimbursed, faculty FPG, and you still have to go into detail and add in your description. See, I told you it doesn't make any sense, but we will do it. All right, and then go ahead and go back. Okay, so what you could do if you wanted to is to just copy this, but I'm just going to go ahead and add another per diem meal in. Just make sure you change the date this time. So it's the 16th. Okay, so now you can see I've added in all of that, my 4 days of per diem, and the total down here is $1,500. So far I'm doing pretty good. I haven't spent my $3,500 yet, but I have traveled before. So let's go back to the email from Rosie again. I've collected all of the items that she's asked for me to collect, and I'm going to upload those here in a second. But then she wants for us to add this information into the box. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut and paste, and I'll delete the information that I don't need. So this is the box that I'm talking about here. And if I go ahead and hit cut and paste, I like to make it a little bit bigger so I can see what I'm doing in there. I'm going to have to answer all of these questions for her. So, or not for her, but for this. Now I know, again, this doesn't make any sense at all because the location is listed right here when I started my process here. So, and then the start and end times was 8:30 a.m. to 1:45 p.m. All right, so you're wondering, how do I know that? Well, remember, I copied that page of the schedule. Okay, so I have that. So I need my rationale for attending. Okay, so I cut and pasted my rationale in there. All right, so I'm going to put in some prior travel that I've had, and now I'm going to add that information into the box that was requested. I can also pop this box out so that it's easier to work on in that. So let me go into my notes again. And so these are the two prior conferences that I've gone to. So we're going to copy that information, go back into here. And so here's prior travel, if applicable. And I'm going to go ahead and list my awards here. So paste those there. All right, so personal days, none. I'm just going to go ahead and write none. Explanation of cost if it's more, and non-standard items. So I don't have any non-standard items, so I'm just going to delete this information. So, okay, so let me delete that, and so I'm done with that. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return. Okay, so now it's all in there, and I can move on to the next step. So the next step is to add your attachments. So all of those things that you downloaded, you need to add them. You got to do them all one by one. So you go one at a time, you browse, you upload, and then once it uploads, you have to write in a description. Okay, so I've tediously uploaded every single document, and now I'm just going to go ahead and write in what they are. All right, so I have them all added. I'm just going to say okay. So now all my attachments are there, and I've added in all the events. So I'm just going to do a quick double check to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything, and then I'm going to submit it. So I just remember two things that I forgot. I'm going to add parking because I forgot about that. I even said that you wouldn't want to forget your parking. So let's add in our, I'm just going to round it up, 32. And employee reimbursed. Go into detail and go back to it. Okay, and then the second thing that I forgot goes in this little box here. So if you go back to the email that we were looking at from Rosie, if you scroll down even further, they wrote this blurb that you have to put in there, and you're going to add it to the comment box. So let's go ahead and add that there. And you only add this if you're purchasing anything before you get approval. If you are waiting until you get approval, then you don't have to put that in there. Okay, so now at this point, I'm done. I've checked everything. If you want to check for errors, you can, but I'm pretty guaranteed that there are no errors. Yes, I'm getting pretty good at this. And you just want to make a note of what you've spent so you haven't gone over. I think I still had about $2,200 left, so I think I'm good there. And now I can submit it. Okay, so when you go back in, you can see the pending action. So you can see where it's going and who's approved it. And so you'll see the time and the date, the things, and when it's not happening fast enough, you'll know exactly where it is. You'll be like, where are they? How come they haven't approved my travel yet? All right, so it doesn't help to call them because they get annoyed. All right, that's it.